So there's a big game in Athens this week. Have you heard? Georgia and Tennessee. Biggest game in the history of Sanford Stadium in terms of the rankings. We'll see what those end up being on Tuesday when the college football playoff comes out. Georgia hosting Tennessee. I am guilty of being one of the people that has criticized Georgia's home football schedule for quite a long time, and I will continue to do so because it needs to happen more often than these games happen in Sanford Stadium. The eyes of the college football world will be on Georgia versus Tennessee. We are here to break down the only way that we know how to with Film Don't Lie, what Tennessee's offense is doing that is taking college football by storm. I actually think, Brent, that it's going to surprise some people that this is a more balanced attack than maybe what if you just follow the highlights of Tennessee and you see all these 60, 50-yard passes and all these things. This is an offense that's a bit more well composed and balanced.
It is, and it's just a great offense. And what's great about it is, and the beauty of this offense, and this is me, offensive guy who looks at this ad nauseum. The beauty of it is how simplistic it is. If you play a certain way, we do this thing. All right. Now you start creeping up and you think you're going to play the short stuff. We go over your head. We get a first down. We're going to go fast. We're going to do, it's just so, and what it makes, and you see, and I think what you're going to continually see is quarterbacks in this system are going to keep putting numbers upon numbers upon numbers up because of the simplicity. It's not making you make all these full field reads and go from right to left. It's, hey, if this guy does that, then I'm throwing it here. If he comes up, I'm throwing it over his head. Like, the simplicity of it is just amazing to me. Fun to watch. And we had the open week.
You nerded out. You were texting me. You were nerding out about this.
I kind of, I didn't really watch. I'm not going to lie. I did not watch a whole lot of Florida leading up to the open week. I watched a little bit more Georgia itself, but I watched a lot of Tennessee. Like, I may have watched a little too much Tennessee. I'm curious how much Tennessee I watched compared to the people in the building. Because I at least did Pitt twice, Bama twice, LSU twice, Florida twice, and last year's game. At least. There was more. But a lot of Tennessee. Love this offense.
And as much as people talk about that Alabama game, it was super impressive. I think what they did in Baton Rouge may be their crown jewel of the season thus far. Unless what they did against Kentucky on Saturday was pretty special too.
Kentucky just didn't have that. I will say that was shocking to me. It's just, Will Levis. He's just not him. Like, he's not the guy. Like, we talked about that on the round the league leading up to it. Like, hey, if you're this guy, you're like, to me, watching that game, I want to say, like, Kyle Trask is a better pro prospect than him. Based on what they did in college.
Should I say Uiagalelei? I can't do it. I've already fallen for that trap too many times.
No, you shouldn't say that one. I wouldn't go there.
Hey, let's do some housekeeping real fast. One, shout out to Guy in Hiawassee, Captain Guy Bob. Been live on every episode tonight.
Go to Clayton and turn left.
Gary is in Buford. He says, thanks for doing these on Sunday nights. Thanks for watching, Gary.
That's appreciate you, Gary.
Randy's down in Tifton. I am wearing a hat for my alma mater, East Lawrence High School in East Dublin, Georgia. And I'm from Bruton, really. And there's a difference between East Dublin and Bruton. God forbid, love it. There's a whole, I'm telling you, don't know that world, Brent. It's like some of the communities in West Virginia that I don't know.
Yeah.
All those things matter. Just shout out to Hop Sporting Goods and Dawn Wood and David Scott and all the great folks back at home in East Dublin. I hope I make y'all proud because I am proud to be from there. So thanks for this hat. I will rock this on some Film Don't Lie stuff. And because of all these people that are loyal viewers of ours and that we have the most popular YouTube channel in the world, Jittery Joe's has come to us. And so we want to be part of that because of your loyal fan base, people like Dog for Life that's watching down in Clayton. And so if you are one of the people that love Film Don't Lie, then you really need to support the people who support us. And that is the kind folks at Jittery Joe's. And if you haven't seen this yet, you need to go check out their National Championship Commemorative Edition, Limited Edition coffee can. And it's a great coffee as well. All their coffees are fantastic. This one, probably in the middle of a light roast to medium roast. I do the drip coffee in the morning, especially when it gets cool like this. And then when I'm finished, I take these cans from Jittery Joe's, Drive By Truckers can, or the one from Mama's Boy. They did one for Grady College once upon a time. And I use that as decoration in my office. It's kind of like a bit of artwork. And then I can prop up my computer on it to do some of the video stuff that I do. So support the people at Jittery Joe's. You can find these in store at any of their locations in Northeast Georgia. If you're in downtown Athens, that's a fantastic location to go check out. Just down the street from the Arch, just a few steps from campus. Also, if you're not in Athens, jitteryjoes.com, you can find them there. That's all the housekeeping. I know people want to see Tennessee's offense. Here we go. I will bring that up here. And
as you're doing that, couple sort of just big picture thoughts about their offense. And I've mentioned some of these already. One, it's the simplicity of it is just phenomenal. But two, and I think I said this in the other videos, they want to stay on schedule more than anything. Like they run plays and call plays to stay on schedule. So if you get them in a 2nd 11, or if they get a 10-yard holding penalty or something like that, you 100% are sort of winning against them. Now, granted, that does that any offense, but what it does is it makes them slow down. The other part is communication and tackling. Those are the two absolute keys to playing against this defense, because if you don't communicate and one guy thinks this thing, another guy thinks that, because they're just going to put one or two guys in conflict and if one or two guys are wrong, it's a touchdown. And with the talent they have now with Hyatt and Tillman back, like if one or two guys screw up, they're going to burn you. So those kind of things. And there's some other little things that when we get into the tape, like for example, this first play, that are very interesting with how they run their offense.
And just alignment-wise, I think most people know this by now. But if you haven't watched a lot of Tennessee, you will not see a team that lines up receivers closer to the sideline. And this is even a bit far away in some cases. Sometimes they are almost on the little tick marks on the hashes on the edge.
That and stacked receivers. Like you better have a plan. And I would bet every other mental rep this week is corner safety or corner safety star 3/2 with over a stacked receiver set.
So here we go. Have a play action. And this is one thing that can be dangerous, that even if you defend everything well, Hendon Hooker is a good enough athlete, and he's a big guy that he can run in the open field.
So there's a couple interesting things with this. One, play action. The play action that they do, it's not like a lot of times what you see with Georgia, where it's under center and you're sticking the ball out and rolling back the other way, anything like that. It's just a lean forward look and there. And what does that do? That makes your linebackers do stupid things, the things that they want your linebackers to do, and it gives the receivers time to develop. 58%, I think. He's second in the Power 5 behind Jackson Dart in terms of percentage play action for everything he does. The other thing, every game that I've watched, I want to say it's twice in all these games that he has scrambled to throw. When I talked about the being on schedule, look at this. He's looking, he sees his read is not there, and then he's taking off because they want to stay ahead of schedule. They want to stay 2nd and 6, 2nd and 2, maybe get a first down like they do here. So it's look, hey, not there, tuck, run, stay ahead of the chains.
Thing that I wanted to point out here. One, Will Anderson, I don't know exactly what you're trying to do here. And once you see that he needs to go back more toward the center of the field once he sees that the Hooker steps up. But more importantly, what Hooker, I think, is reading here is 10, To'o. Because I think what Hooker, and I don't know this for sure because I don't follow their offense quite as much, and I just don't know what play was called. I think he wants this kind of inside slant here because at pre-snap, all the space is in the middle of the field, and that's what Tennessee's trying to exploit here. Well, To'o sees that and falls back this way. And when that happens, where does the space then open up? This lane that Hooker runs to.
And you have to me, your linebackers almost, and the key here is that he just outruns the linebacker. Like the linebacker's kind of there, but he just outruns them. But your linebackers, to me, almost have to play like defensive backs against their team, where my first step is not forward. Because the more you move forward, the more space you create for them to work the middle of the field, because you're so busy defending the deep ball and playing leverage on the deep ball that they now have, sort of middle of the field angles on you. And as Mr. Dodson says, masters at taking what is given. Yes. They want to all day take what you give them. If you play back, they're going to run their quick now screens and take 7 yards. They're going to be content running the football, and if you give that to them. And that's what's going to be the give and take. So here we go.
But even if he wanted just to do a little pop pass right here, that would be 5 yards.
Yep. But like I said, if he's moving, he's usually moving to run. Like it's twice in all the games that I've watched is he's moved and thrown the ball. And one of those was on the 4th down play against Bama that they got the pass interference, like really down the field, that was intercepted and then called back. Like, so he had to throw it.
So we talk about so close to the sideline. That also means there's a lot of space in between tackle and receiver.
And their splits are tighter, by the way. Their lineman splits are sort of tighter than kind of normal lineman splits. So it creates even more space. Motion. All right, so we're going to talk, we're going to see motion. What do they do, and what did they do earlier in this game prior to this? That guy motions out, and they run a now screen. They run, quick, throw it to him. The guy in motion comes and blocks the outside guy. The outside guy comes back in and gets the ball. But now you've played up. Now you've showed your hand, and we're going to make you breathe for a second, which, by the way, I don't know what. I'm going to say this, and it's going to be really mean.
Do it.
Who in the world was coaching Alabama's defensive back going in this game?
Look at where their weight is right here.
The mindset, the eyes was horrid. Horrid. And they still should have won the game. Anyway.
When I circled those 3 defensive backs from Alabama right there, that's when this was a touchdown for Tennessee. Because it's too late right now.
Yep.
Their weight is in the wrong direction. They're not going to be able to shift fast enough because this is a really fast receiver just sprinting this way. Like at this very moment, before Hooker has even gotten to the back of his drop, this is a touchdown.
And sadly, the Tillman injury almost was benefit to them because it made Hyatt become the absolute centerpiece of their offense. Against Pitt, Tillman had 18 targets. Now Hyatt had like 9 or 10. But they now have gone to an offense that distributes the ball everywhere and truly takes what you give them. But that guy's their guy. That guy is their home run guy. Whereas it used to be Tillman. Tillman was the guy, especially against Pitt. There were a few Hyatt, but for the most part, Tillman. And I said that kind of unlocked their offense even more.
So how do you stop getting beat over the top like this? Well, the obvious answer is don't step forward here. But I say this, and Alabama has the 2 safeties back here. What can Georgia do to not have a receiver get on top of them?
I mean, you're just going to be good.
Technique,
the discipline and the communication. Like it's those 2 things. It's your eye discipline and communication. And those are kind of going to be just beyond key this week. And by the way, I think it is, yes. This is on first down. And this is the theme, the 100% theme of their offense. The other thing that you have to just mentally ingrain in yourself if you're a safety all week, if you're Chris Smith, if you're Malachi Starks, if you're David Daniels, sense of like, and you're playing, like whoever's in the game playing deep. If it's 1st and 10, and especially if they have just gotten a first down, so they're now running fast, right? They typically go faster on first down. If it's 1st and 10, they're taking deep shots. And we're going to see it throughout all this.
One of the things that you can do, you have to be a little careful legally here. So To'o is pretty close to getting, at least in the way of a route. I'm not saying to impede it or draw any interference, but maybe make the receiver have to take half a step to alter the route a little
bit.
If
the ball's on air, hit him. This isn't the NFL. You can touch people.
Right. But I'm just saying you don't want to get called for a penalty in that situation if you're too aggressive or if it's too. A lot of times when stuff happens in the open field, you get penalties more rather than hits in the trenches. But what I'm saying is, look how close To'o gets to the receiver and doesn't really impede him at all.
Nope.
Find a way to slow him even half a beat, and your safeties, if they made a wrong step, can get back in it. So as much as we're going to talk about Bullard and Starks for Georgia and how they're going to be compromised, Georgia's linebackers in this game, the inside linebackers, Nakobe Dean is needed, and he ain't there. This is the kind of thing that he can reset a ton of stuff. We saw him do it in 2019 against LSU, but Pop can do some of it. I think Georgia needs Smile Munden.
He played a lot. He played 50 snaps against Florida, so we'll see. This is bottom of the screen stuff. So what do we talk about? You got to have a plan against stacked receivers. So, if you're going to have one guy up, one guy off, you got to be able to communicate. You got to have a plan because one's going in and one's going out. Somebody's going to the post, somebody's going to the wheel, somebody's staying short, somebody's going long. It's combinations of routes meant to confuse you. But here, if you get, because of the leverage, like I'm playing that leverage, and then boom, inside. And by the way, what did Alabama do here that they only did, by the way, 5 times in this game? Blitzed and didn't get to him. They sat back the entirety of this game. And it's still beyond, and I know what, you know what they think. We got Braswell, we got Dallas Turner, we got Will Anderson. We're just going to win. Our pass rush guys are going to get there. It just doesn't happen with the way they run their offense and how quick the ball is out. You're not getting there unless you bring guys. And Alabama sat back and just let them do what they wanted to.
You mentioned how Tennessee does play action a bit differently here. Because, this is as quick of a fake as you can get. But it works because right here, and To'o has already stepped in. But right here, you're seeing Alabama step in. So where does the space go? All this for this slant.
Your LBs have to play like DBs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why you're going to see a lot of dime from Georgia where they have, just one linebacker on the field. And that second linebacker is likely, Tyke Smith, somebody like, someone with that ill. And you're going to, because you come forward, because you think, all right, Hooker's moving forward. Hooker's going to run. So give him the 6 yards. Give him the 7 yards. Don't give him 20.
The other thing here, and this was a big play for Tennessee, so I'm not downplaying it, but Alabama got beat
bottom of the screen
inside, and Alabama got beat over the top. Look at that.
Yeah, Hyatt's he's really good. He's really good and really fast.
Really good route running. You can tell these receivers feel comfortable in this offense because this isn't overly complicated. This is a up, in, and then this is kind of a in to out and work over the top here. And you try to just get hips in the wrong direction. And if you get that right, big play.
Running game. They run more than they pass. Folks probably don't really
say that again. Say
they
that
run more than they pass. They actually, and I think it goes to the staying on schedule stuff that we talk about. They want to use the running game to get first downs, to set up tempo, to then take those shots. And now the biggest thing is Alabama did this consistently, and sometimes they got stops. But other times they didn't. This is 2nd and 7. Remember how we always talk kind of way, second down and long. We don't want to, you kind of want to throw the ball because statistically you're running the ball in 2nd and long is a bad thing. They don't mind. And they also block it differently. And we're going to get to this one. We're going to one more. This one's a little different because Alabama's, is kind of playing sort of more of a bear front with 2 LBs there. So the guys are having to play the edge, but they want down blocks. So they bring that backside tackle around consistently. When they run counter, a lot of times the backside tackle, they'll even use the H-back as the kick and the backside tackle as the lead. They run their run block schemes a little bit differently. And it makes you, as a defense, rules that you normally have against every other team make you wrong against them is kind of the way to think about it.
Well, and because they have the ability to go over the top, as we've seen at this view, and this is a bit of a tight angle, no safety help in the run here.
Yeah.
And so your guys in the box have to perform.
Well, and that's where did Georgia win last year? Like they won by Devontae Wyatt, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, like them playing 6 at least, only no more than 6 in the box. And oftentimes what you see is Georgia come up and go 5-man front, Nakobe be on the edge. And I think that's something you're going to see a lot of this week is them bringing one of the backers up as the edge player. And there's only being one backer sitting there because it now occupies all the offensive linemen. But that's another thing. You got to be able to stop the run with 6. You got to be able to at least limit the run with 6 players or less, 6 or 5 in the box.
Look right here. This is how this play gets stopped. You have to win your one-on-one effort and get off of your block at the right time. Or
at least cause the running back to do something there, and he just misses.
Yeah. That's how you stop that play. Because if it gets past him, it's first down.
By the way, speaking of first down, they just got a first down right here. Going quick. Alabama's not lined up. See ya. Like that's their really good safety who's going to be picked in the draft, Helms, and just burnt toast. Yeah, give him a little bye-bye there.
Hyatt was like Mr. South Carolina football, right? You wonder how Clemson let him get away.
But again,
shade of orange now.
Like they're just getting lined up because what happened? Tennessee I think before this play, like I said, I watched this ad nauseum. I think they got like a 2nd and 2 or a 3rd and 1 or something like that to get a first down. Then it's play action shot play. So I think it's 60% of their deep shots are on first down. So you as a defense in your head, first down, deep ball, first down, prevent the deep ball, first down, prevent the deep ball.
And you talked about, too, how Alabama did not blitz. This is a 3-man pressure with 5 blockers.
Because they're just getting lined up. Like, it's no chance. With the way their splits are, I mean, you win sometimes, but with the tight split, it's just hard to get through them and or win on the edge in time to affect the quarterback.
So you were saying you have to win mentally and be ready because they're going to be ready to snap the ball. And in fact, did you see, I think it was Kentucky yesterday, that Kentucky thought a Tennessee player that was limping a little bit was going to the sideline, and all that he did was go stand right here. And so Kentucky thought, well, we get to substitute. He's going off.
Oh, that's what drove Stoops insane on that play?
Yeah.
I saw the video
Heupel just had them snap the ball. And there's 12 guys on the field for Kentucky because they didn't get off in time. Penalty. I mean, they play smart, man. They're aware
and that's why I think,
of everything.
Like we talked about in an earlier video, I think you're going to see defensive line sort of groups be by series. Like, hey, this series, this is who we're going with, kind of thing. Now, this is the one where I talked about. So again, Bama's 5 in the box. And when they have 5 in the box, so they do motion to sort of take your eyes in a little bit differently. The rules, if you play normal rules, you're going to get beat. So what is a normal rule for 15 right here? He's actually doing probably what he's taught to do 9 times out of 10. He's sort of hitting the inside shoulder of the tackle pulling around, trying to bounce that. Well, guess what? There's 5 people in the box, and everybody else is way out here. You can't even see them. So if the running back bounces here, he's bouncing into open space.
Mm-hmm.
So what you think Georgia has to think this week, especially from the edge guys, if Nolan Smith happens to play, that's big, needs to play. Beal, Chambliss, those guys, Michael Williams that are playing that role. You got to think like Trayvon Walker against Michigan type play, where you're sort of straight on this guy and making that bow either big time or even back into the mess, because Toa here is sort of playing the off tackle hole, thinking, oh, I'm working sort of inside to out. And by the time he's there, he has no chance. Now, he's not good and didn't play good in this game at all, because his first step is a big forward step as opposed to sort of lateral, but they also run it right at him some. And earlier in the game, he'd completely run out of the screen in the middle and running outside, and they run it straight up the gut on him. So like the running game, it just makes the rules that you normally have makes you kind of wrong. And they want you to be wrong, because like I said, they also block it differently. Not a lot of teams pull the backside tackle on a play like that.
I want to point out real fast. One, Tennessee does this particular motion often. They'll take a receiver lined up closer to the inside, if that's a thing for Tennessee, and they'll move him sometimes to the outside of a receiver, sometimes stacked, and sometimes in this case is just a little bit closer. If we're talking numbers game here, this is going to end up being, 1 and 2 against 1, but then 2's way over here. Main thing I want to point out is that this motion, watch how it affects this safety. So motion goes, safety just took kind of a half step to his left, closer to the sideline, and even turned his shoulders just a little bit. Well, now he's slightly out of position more than he would have been had he stayed where he was. And he has further to run to get to the spot. All to say, every motion that Tennessee makes has a purpose.
Yeah, and from every team you would hope to think that they do that. I think sometimes Georgia doesn't do that with theirs. Their motion is for pass game, not necessarily run game. But you think Alabama actually did a lot of what Florida did, which was, all right, we're going to play this 5 guys in the box, and we're going to be 3 over 2 on these 2 outs on each side, 3 DBs over the 2 receivers on the. But again, what does that give? It gives running lanes, and it makes you wrong if you don't play it well.
Should I say it again? Tennessee runs more than it passes.
Yes.
Okay. But when they pass.
Speaking of motion to just make you think and do something stupid.
But here is that motion again. Started out here, goes to the outside on that motion.
And that's Hyatt, I think, moving outside. Oh, attention on Hyatt. And then, let's just let this guy run right down the field.
My guy, what are you doing? Do you not see that there's a football player in front of you? Is this 22 that we picked on in the Georgia video as well?
Potentially. I think you might be right there. But I can just
no, 22 is at the bottom. 22 is the safety in the middle.
But I can just hear Kirby all week on the microphone. Communicate. 4-letter words, communicate. Lots of them.
This is just a straight up gift.
Yeah. I think they catch him and he didn't score. But yes, it was still a gift.
I haven't seen you throw a football. You could hit this. I'm not so sure that I could.
I can hit a lot of dimes, Dayne. I can drop dimes. I can drop dimes.
Yeah, I know.
As long as it's not too far. I don't have to rip it too much. The elbow, no, not so much.
I kind of like this angle of this play just because you kind of see the vision from Hooker's perspective. They like to do a lot of these medium crossers.
Because why? They've got you spread out, and now you bring your backers, and it's just easy money unless you get to him. Unless you affect him and put it right in his face, and or get your hands up. Like defensive linemen, you should, if you don't have your rest, get your hands up 7. As soon as your rush is stopped, eyes on the QB, be ready to jump up and bat the ball down. Because what's interesting, one of the interesting things about Hooker when you watch him, like on the now screens, like this where the ball is out quick, he's very little from a body movement standpoint. Like it's very upper body and just hip turn driven. He's not like you see Stats. Stats kind of feet are very active, stepping into throws, things like that. He oftentimes, especially if it's a shorter throw, he's just standing there and rotating and flicking and being tall, and the ball comes out right here. You can bat a lot of balls, I think.
On SEC Network, I heard Takeo Spike say, and he was just, I think, referencing the momentum the team has, that Tennessee has some 2019 LSU vibes, which as a whole, I don't really see that with the offense, and the personnel is nowhere near as talented as that offense was at LSU.
Or defense.
Yeah, or the defense. But I will say this particular play is very 2019 LSU.
Yep, where you got two great receivers, two really good receivers. I don't think you got Jefferson and Chase, but you got two really good receivers who can go win a lot of times with those one-on-one battles, especially now that Tillman's back.
And they just did crosser after crosser after crosser, and then when it wasn't there, Burrow would scramble or throw down to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Tennessee's not that. There's not very much comparison. The offenses are very, very different. But I did, in terms of momentum and belief and putting kind of a nation on notice, that's what Tennessee is.
100%. And that's what, by the way, tackling also becomes massive there because they have a head of steam. A lot of times he's gonna hit him in stride. He's a big, tall guy in the pocket. Ball's off in stride. He missed a bunch against LSU. Like they could have completely dunked on LSU if he didn't miss some of the ones he did. Pitt,
I suppose the other comparison too is just that you had a quarterback that couldn't win a job at the previous school, and then all of a sudden they're a Heisman contender. So,
yep, new guy, different system, succeeding.
Talk about use the whole field, spread it out, and when you do that, you open up the run lanes.
He takes this. Here's the key. He just takes it. If you play man, and like they're playing man, some form of man, right? Because the LB's going out with the back. They kind of switched up sort of from a responsibility standpoint there, but you vacate that, you leave 4 in the box, he's taking it all day. He's just going to take it. He's not even going to think about throwing it. He might look downfield, but he is always going to run that ball and take what's given to him there.
It's also knowledge of the routes too, that like you're probably not as likely to do this if you have those medium crossers running your direction because you're running into tacklers, but knowing the depth of the routes that your receivers are running, knowing the situation, frankly, knowing personnel here because you have the down lineman. Well, 21 from Florida is 405.
He's a big fella.
He's not going to have the agility to turn around and make a play here. And he's one of the guys that you had to beat. I may not can throw it, but I can run past 21, I think. Maybe. Hopefully. Okay. You didn't give me the affirmation I was looking for, so we'll just go to the next play.
I think you're more athletic than him, Dayne.
Thank you.
But he's a big old boy.
Yeah.
When you talk about Pitt beats them, by the way. If Slovis does not get hurt, Pitt 100% beats them. But the biggest thing about this play is, one, this should be a touchdown. Like, he just missed it. But Pitt did something in this game that no other team really has done to them. They attacked them. They blitzed them, cover 1, cover 0, brought the house, and said, I don't care. Like, and what the interesting part is, they still got some big plays. But he missed a lot. Like against Bama, he was 9 of 16, so over 50% on over 10-yard throws, 290 yards, 4 touchdowns. Against Florida, they didn't blitz as much either. 6 of 10 for over 10-yard throws, 208 yards. So hitting the big plays. Against Pitt, when they just brought it and put a lot of man-to-man coverage on their guys, which is amazing to me when you think about it from a talent perspective. You would think they would maybe not necessarily do that. He was only 5 of 15 on those over 10-yard throws. He missed a lot of throws in this game and was pressured a lot in this game because they just said, look, we're coming after you and we're playing man. And I think you're going to see a lot of that from Georgia, actually.
And it needs to be beyond defensive linemen, not just from schematics, but just even personnel. Like Nolan Smith injured. Jalen Carter just got back. You're going to be down to some players that need to step up in this game. Guys like a Michael Williams, like a Bear Alexander. Mm-hmm. But even getting into your linebackers, we even saw against Florida a couple safety blitzes. Can Christopher Smith come downhill? Are you willing to do that and leave a receiver in one-on-one coverage? I think at some point you have to try some of those things because, like you
by the way, I'll say this is also first down.
Yeah,
deep shot. They get into plus territory 40 between the 40 and the 50-yard line. First down, it's a shot play. I think we got one or two more maybe.
We have 2 more. Here's that pressure.
Blitzed them. Pitt blitzed and blitzed and blitzed and blitzed some more and played man. Cover 1, cover 0, most of the game. Just absolutely attacked them. And by the way, if you think about how Georgia played last year, Georgia blitzed Hooker on 51, I think, % of the pass of his dropbacks last year. I think you're going to see a lot more of that too.
One more.
Speaking of, I just wanted to show this play specifically because this is 2nd and 31. And I think it'd even be third and third, and I think they got third down here right after this. They still bring the house and play man. 2nd and 30. They bring everybody here.
And almost got the pick.
Yeah. Pitt did not let off the gas at all. It was actually a fun game to watch.
Pitt's defense played Tennessee much better than Alabama's.
Yes. All day, every day.
So you're willing to concede some points to make him feel uncomfortable?
You have to. He has to be uncomfortable. And however it is that you do that, I think Dumas Johnson is going to be ginormous in this game because I think he's the one that's shown that on the blitz can get to the QB, can bend, can do those Nakobe-like things. That's the other thing. And then the other thing to me is slowing down their running game. Don't allow them to get those easy first downs, get the tempo rolling, get to where they're going to take shot plays. Because if you do that, then it's just an avalanche. And they're just going to keep going. And that's what happened to Kentucky.
Do you remember Dayne Jackson not playing anymore this season? So that's a piece
Big loss.
Experience in
with
Georgia's
this game.
secondary. Yeah. And you saw that in the national championship. Dayne Jackson, very helpful against these explosive offenses when they're passing deep. What do you do with the couple of best receivers that Tennessee has?
I'll be interested to see, because obviously Hyatt kind of is more of the slot guy for them, but they switch them and they run the stack stuff so much that I don't know that you can really say, hey, look, Lassiter, you're guarding this guy, and Ringo, you're guarding this guy. I don't know how much you can do that, but I will say I think Ringo will be on Tillman as much as possible because of how physical Tillman is. Because now that he's back and he's 6'3", 6'2", 215, big physical receiver, I see Ringo kind of following him more so. The key, Hyatt's going to be key because you got Bullard and Tyke Smith and some others who, we see a world where Tyke plays some safety and Malachi Starks goes man-to-man against Hyatt. I think we might see that.
Kirby Smart has already called for fans to create an unbelievable atmosphere at Sanford Stadium for this game. That means the tailgating is probably starting on Friday morning, maybe Thursday. It's going to get –
It will be pitched.
Athens will be pandemonium. And if you want your tailgate to stand out and really brag to all your friends and even the Tennessee ones that walk by, and you can even lob 1998 jokes at them because Georgia hasn't been able to do that for a long time. You need to get this National Championship Edition, limited edition coffee from Jittery Joe's. My buddy Logan Booker actually does this at his tailgate, where he will brew this particular coffee this season because he wants it to be the National Championship coffee. And so if you want to really impress your friends at your tailgate, be ready, have all the good vibes for Georgia versus Tennessee, go check out our friends at Jittery Joe's. They have a ton of varieties, but this limited edition can is what they really thought would be something that our audience was interested in. And it's just great coffee. Again, light to medium roast. You can find it in stores or you can go online, jitteryjoes.com. Thank you so much, Jittery Joe's, for partnering with Film Don't Lie for the remainder of this season. Always in my heart. I've been a Jittery Joe's fan for quite a while. And, man, that coffee can's fantastic. It's going to be a fun one, Brent. And we have plenty of analysis coming here on this YouTube channel this week.
I think it's going to be an absolute fun game. And I can see this being a who has the ball last kind of deal. And I mainly say that because of the injuries that Georgia has. If Nolan Smith doesn't play, that's a big deal if he's unable to play. I don't know how bad the shoulder is that he got dinged up yesterday. Jalen Carter looked phenomenal. But if you let Hendon Hooker sit back there, if you don't, one, slow down the running game, and or two, let Hooker just sit back there and do things, those guys are going to make plays and they're going to get behind you. The key is you don't give up 4 50-yard plus touchdowns. You got to make them work in some way to score and or force field goals. When the field shrinks, force field goals. That's beyond key.
I'll remind people the last time that a team came into Sanford Stadium feeling really good about itself and thinking that it had a shot to do whatever Tennessee's trying to do against Georgia. It was Arkansas last year. And Georgia fans dominated that game. Georgia fans did at the beginning of it. That Arkansas team is not Tennessee. This Tennessee team, the offense is so much better. So
Bring
much
back
more
the
dynamic.
stem. Bring back the stem. You're going to see a lot of stemming on the defensive line. We haven't seen a lot of that thus far this year. Bring it back. This is the week to do it with the crowd and all the things that go with it.
And just from a football perspective, once this game is over, you get to cozy up to Bama and Baton Rouge.
It's a heck of a day. Heck of a day of football.
It'll be great. I'm excited for Athens just as a whole. I really love
way better than like The Bachelor or any other reality TV. Sports is the ultimate reality TV.
I still watch Survivor. Okay, so don't be hating on all reality TV. I've watched Survivor for a long time, and you and I are going to have a word, buddy. But we need to get off of this because we've been going too long.
I don't watch
Georgia,
Survivor.
Tennessee. Follow our YouTube channel. We have 2 special guests coming in podcasts that you will hear about later on. Those are scheduled out, and it is some national folks who follow college football very well, and they've been on our YouTube channel before. Subscribe there. Thanks for watching Film Don't Lie. Been a great night, and we'll see you next week for more Film Don't Lie. The breakdown, the recap of Georgia and Tennessee, and then on to Georgia versus Mississippi State from there. For Brent Rollins, I'm Dayne Young. Thank you, Jittery Joes. This is Film Don't Lie. We'll see you next time.